Good afternoon, folks. It's Wednesday, midweek. I'd say hump day, but the Monday holiday. A lot of people, still have to work, so it's hump day for them, right? But we got a little bit of 49ers news going on. Training camp, right? Kinds of folks talking about how CMC ain't there, who's not there. They're making a big deal. I'm not. And there's a reason I'm not. So CMC's got some mileage on him, right?
Especially since he got here.
And I don't want to see him at camp or OTAs until it's mandatory. I don't want to take a chance. Don't want to up the mileage on him. He's getting enough. We don't need to make that worse. Bosa's showing up. It's kind of that there was a story about him talking to Shanahan, and Shanahan telling him it would be beneficial for you to be here. I mean, what do you think of that?
I mean, it's never bad to practice as long as they're not taking too many big hits. That's the main thing.
Yeah. The whole risk of injury, you're the $35 million man, right?
Yeah, that's true.
And then, as we're going, it's like we see Brock Purdy. Of course, all the young bucks show up. They all have to prove something. They got to make the team, so they're out to prove something. But I'm like CMC's got a wedding coming up. Then he's got his honeymoon. We don't need him getting a groin injury before he gets married, folks, because that's when he's going to need it.
Got to do his honeymoon duties.
But and then on another note, Feliciano at center. This is something I'm a fan of. I'm not a Brindle fan. I say he's not bad, but he's not good. So he's mid. This is my opinion, right?
Yeah, I mean he's decent. He's decent as a pass blocker, but not much of a run blocker.
And I was like I want a guy at center that can take on one of these defensive tackles one-on-one. And I don't think Brindle's just not that guy. He gets pushed back, or if he's helping another guy, he's doing pretty good. But Feliciano, on the other hand, he's a little bigger, more experienced, maybe even more stubborn. Who knows, right? But I kind of like him at center. But the reason, Brindle, this is a big question mark going into the season, in my opinion. Arthritis or tendonitis in his knee, right?
I didn't know he had that.
That's the report. That's why he's not there.
So that's something that plagued D Ford with us for a long time. And then
Western Richburg, you remember he was recovering from his injury, and then he developed arthritis.
Yeah.
And he couldn't come back.
And obviously, Javon Kinlaw had knee tendonitis as well, too. Chronic. Yep. And so, yeah, it's not good for down linemen to have tendonitis where they're not going to have trouble bending their knees to get down into a 3-point or 4-point stage.
Dude, especially how those guys have to go in their stance. I mean, that's going to be hard on the guy, right? But I wouldn't. I'm a fan of having Feliciano at center. I am. And then we have Pooney and Burford. Let them fight it out for that right guard spot, or maybe even the whole right side. Let everyone fight it out over there. What if Burford beats out McKivitz for tackle? And then we get us some Pooney on the right side. That'd be like, I'd be okay with that. Just because it seems like whenever we run the ball, what direction do we head? To the left. Unless we're doing like a jet sweep and guys are pulling to the right. But I honestly would like to see an upgrade on the whole right side. I'm not dogging Burford because he's okay, and he's going into his third year, so this is kind of a make or break thing for him, right? And at this point, we saw him play a little bit of tackle last year. He actually looked pretty good in the limited snaps that we saw him. So it's like, why did we move him into guard? If he's better at tackle. But because we have McKivitz, right?
Right.
But McKivitz struggles against the speed rushers. So if he's going to struggle against speed rushers, put him inside where you don't have to deal with speed rushers and put Burford outside. But either way, as long as the offensive line actually improves over last year, give Purdy a little bit more time, and the offense will be even, scoring even more points than we were last year, which was pretty good. Wasn't that the best year in the Kyle Shanahan era?
Seemed like it. Well, the offense was, number one in the league, weren't they? So, yeah. It's the first time that's happened since Kyle got here. 2019, we were second in the league and second in rushing, but we passed it a lot better in 2023. So regarding Brendel, and Feliciano, I mentioned that in a show not too long ago that I thought we could see some Feliciano at center. I kind of like it. The only thing that concerns me is that he has stated that this is his last season. So from a continuity perspective, I don't love it. But hey, if we get a ring this year, then who cares about next year, honestly. And then, Burford, maybe he could do better at tackle. I don't know. I mean, he definitely played it at UTSA, so that's a possibility. But I think it's going to be McKivitz at right tackle. I think it's going to be Pooney or Feliciano at right guard. And I think that it'll be Brendel at center. I do think it'll be Brendel at center. I guess unless that knee tendonitis is worse than reported. And like I said, I didn't even know he had knee tendonitis. So that's news to me.
That could end up being a big issue. We won't actually know until like mandatory camp comes around. And if he's not present, then it's a bigger issue than, has been reported, which the Niners, we're not a leaky shit, folks.
David, can I grab a quick call here and I'll be right back with you?
Oh yeah. Yeah. You're good.
Thank you.
But we are not a leaky ship. Information doesn't leak out. Like, how's Hufanga going? That's right, folks. Crickets. And I mean, he's at the point where they're about to let him start running a straight line. So, and that is the update on Hufanga. So he's making progress. He's coming back. We drafted that rookie Mustafa. We got Jair Brown, Hufanga. We got Odom. We got a couple practice squad guys from last year. Gibson, I guess he retired. I don't know if it's official or not. Maybe the chat knows. Y'all can let me know. And, what's going on, Levi? Good to see you, buddy. Well, now let's be honest here. It's arthritis or tendonitis. They weren't very specific on Brendel and his knee. So, and Kenny, if he loses any more weight, buddy, he's going to be a long snapper. Shout out to Tabor Pepper. But so we got Kenny in the building though. What's good, buddy? Steve-O's in the building. What's up, Steve-O? That's right, bang bang Niner gang. Ooh, Edgard, how's it going, buddy? Jimmy? Hold on. Jimmy? No, it's not the Jimmy I'm thinking. We also got Daniel Berry Sports Highlights. Go check him out. Does a lot of shorts. What's good, buddy?
Sorry about that. I've been waiting for a call and it came through, so my apologies. I try never to do that, but this was very important.
All right. Ryan popped in. I was just saying hi to the chat. Bebop Jones, what's good, man? He's faithful. He's always around. But,
I was telling David last backstage that I was unable to stream with Ryan yesterday because I had no childcare. My wife was in LA with our youngest son, and I had our oldest son. And I knew, and it was too early to put him down for a nap at 11:30. So I knew if we tried to stream, he was going to be just
You know
popping in,
what?
making cameos.
This is something I've never asked you.
What?
How old are your children?
My oldest son is 4, and my youngest son is 8 months.
Oh, okay.
So young, very young, and requiring a lot of attention and hand holding. And so when we don't have childcare, there's no way I could stream unless my oldest Ford is down for a nap. Then I can usually squeeze a show in. But at 11:30 in the morning, there was no chance I was going to be able to do that, unfortunately.
Yeah, my daughter, she's 23.
Oh, very nice. Well, yeah.
A lot of people don't know. I'm in my late 40s, buddy. I'm literally 47.
I'm 53, so I mean, my kids should be older too. But I waited, till I was older to get married, and then my wife and I struggled to conceive, and then basically we got this dog, Hamilton, and I think my wife liked the way I took care of the dog and thought, hey, maybe he could be a good father, and so. Somehow after that, we were able to have Ford. So we waited a long time to start trying, and then it took a long time of trying to have a child. And like we started late, I was like 37 when we got married. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm waiting for grandchildren, buddy. I'm at that point.
There you go.
She's married. She's been married for like well over a year. She's been with that young man for years, and he's a great dude. They're like peas and carrots, like Forrest Gump say.
Yes.
And I'm just waiting for grandchildren. All I have is the grand dog right now, Australian baby doll shepherd.
Yeah.
We're very small. And that's all I got right now is the grand dog. But, one of these days, right, I'll have all the fun but no responsibility. That's the good thing about being a grandpa.
That is. You just get to spoil them.
Yeah, we got Rob D in the building. What's going on, buddy? And I mean, at this point in the offseason, I would say there's not a lot to talk about, but we do have some 49ers news that broke today. Juwan Jennings, 2-year contract. What is it? $15.5 million? Is that?
Sounds about right.
And then, but I know it's 10.5 guaranteed. So
getting bombarded with calls here.
I
We're
know.
too popular,
it's
David.
Like,
just too popular.
Well, that was my mom. I'll send her a text saying sorry. I will call you when I'm done. And
yeah, when my wife calls during the show, I text her back and I just say on air, and then she understands.
I mean, I didn't set this one up on Facebook. If I would have set this up on Facebook, then she wouldn't even be calling. But I don't think she has X or my YouTube, so it's kind of weird. But yeah, I'll hit her up here in just a minute. She wanted to talk about her car. I already know that. She's done a lot of driving lately. But Juwan Jennings, we got him for 2 years. Still no news on Ayuk, folks. That's out there. They're negotiating. What do you actually think he's worth, Ted?
I said before, not long after the Super Bowl, I said 24 to 26. I'm still there. I'm not in this 30 mil crowd. Not at all. So,
Armon St. Brown, the Detroit Lions wide receiver, signed for $30 million a year, 4-year contract.
Mm-hmm.
He is a 2-time Pro Bowler and first-team All-Pro.
Yep.
Ayuk
He's also a certified wide receiver. He's a wide receiver 1, where he is the number 1 target. He's the number 1 guy that defenses try to take away. And until Brandon Ayuk proves he can do that, I think even 24 to 26 is a little rich when you got Debo, Kittle, and CMC taking attention away from you. So yeah, that's sort of my thing. But yeah, Amon-Ra, I don't think has as good as skills. Like, I mean, if you took Brandon Ayuk's numbers and just and just, multiplied it by however many targets Amon-Ra St. Brown gets. And if Ayuk linearly still, kept the same production based on targets, then he'd be worth a gang of money. I mean, he'd be worth way over 30. But I just don't think it translates that way. I don't think it will actually work out that way when push comes to shove.
Well, St. Brown has 2 seasons over 100 catches. He had that 1,500-yard season last season. That's when he was an all-pro first team. So, but the one, I looked over their numbers, and the one thing Ayuk has over him is yards per catch. But, St. Brown is a 2-time Pro Bowler, first-team all-pro. Ayuk does have a second-team all-pro, so he's good, folks. But I honestly think $30 million is rich for him. I think we'd be crazy to pay him that much. And I'm in the like 27, 28 range is what I see them doing. But that's probably the max. And I don't know if they'll go 4 years or 3 years. This is all yet to be seen. But after that contract's done, we got Debo. This is until the end of 2025. We got Debo, Jennings. We'll have Ayuk. And we have Ricky Purcell. We have Jacob Cowing. Danny Gray's even under contract for the next 2 years. And Ronnie Bell for 3 more. That's 7.
There you go.
We don't typically keep 7.
No, Ronnie Bell's days are numbered, and so are Danny Gray's. They are both on the chopping block.
And we saw Ronnie Bell last preseason. That dude, he can play. He's a good wide receiver. If get him in the game, going up against these guys, get some experience. You never know what he could turn into. But I don't know if we're ever going to find out.
The thing that worries me about Ronnie Bell is he had those tip interceptions, and he had them in preseason, and he had them in the regular season. That's a concern. Just hands. Are his hands good enough? He's definitely got the yak, and so we'll see. But I think those 2 guys are the ones with the target. Rob D says, I think BA would disagree with your assessment, Ted. I'm like, yeah, I hope he would, but I would tell him to his face, I don't think you're worth $30 million, at least not to the Niners. Maybe to another team that's desperate. Sure. We're not desperate.
Okay, here we go. But you saw that report where, Ocho Cinco, and I can't remember who else was talking to him, but Ocho Cinco says, yeah, you're like 32 million a season. It's like, dude, really? Like, where are you installing in Ayuk's head right now? Like, I know you were a former Bengal, and, Bengals, they don't like the 49ers, and there's a couple reasons why, those 2 Super Bowl rings, right?
Yeah.
But there's no reason to be making things hard on us, right? That's just how I view it. But, yeah, BA versus man, 90.4 grade. Debo, 63.5. And man, 20. Huh. That's interesting. But
Debo's, he's not just a receiver. He's a wide back. So, he's a yak monster. And he snatches people's souls when he runs them over and trucks them. It's hard to put a PFF grade on that, if you know what I mean.
So how does the NFL actually classify a drop? Because I saw some passes throughout the season that honestly I think Ayuk could have had. Yeah.
Ayuk, to me, a drop is when it hits you in the breadbasket and you drop it, If it's way high, way low, way behind, or way in front, then I don't consider that a drop. I consider that a poor pass. No, the tricky part is the shades of gray in between, right? I mean, there's definitely, there's like this, and then there's like that, and there's like, just fingertips. It's like hard to, some of those middle ground areas are harder to assess, and that's why, drops can be a little bit misleading. But ultimately, our receivers don't have good hands. None of them have good hands. Like Jennings has straight up bad hands. He has a drop percentage, I think, for his career around 16%. Debo's around 10 or 11. That's both really, really high. Brandon Ayuk has decent hands. He's definitely the best of the three, but he's not like the best of the best in the NFL. He's not in there with top hands wide receivers, not even close.
And that's the truth. Like here's Levi spitting more facts. So BA had 390 yards after the catch, 4.6 average. Debo 632, 8.7 average. There's a big difference in the players too. Debo likes to run over guys. Like Ramsey when he was on the Rams, that dude, I'm sure that guy did not look forward to playing us because Debo would run him over a couple times a game, But and that is a big difference. And I mean, Brandon Ayuk last year had over 1,300 yards receiving. Debo, I think, had just over 1,000 yards combined receiving and rushing, but he also missed games, right?
Right.
So, but yeah, I remember Debo missed
a couple or three. It was the Cleveland Browns game, the Vikings game, and the Bengals game. That Debo and Trent Williams missed the Vikings and Bengals, and they were both dinged up. I think Debo and CMC left the Browns game, but then CMC played Vikings and Bengals.
Rob D says if you throw it through a tree, you'll catch it every time.
Is that Uncle Rico? Is that what that reference is? Or is that like throwing it over a mountain? I forget which one.
What's good, Crazy Juice? Good to see you, buddy. But and this is the truth. This is the truth, Rob D. Debo gets the ball in short with space, and BA gets the ball in route.
Yeah, BA is Brandon's a much better route runner. I mean, that's one area where he is tops. Brandon Ayuk is a top route runner in this league for sure.
Well, we did see in the Super Bowl, we saw Debo locked up with an All-Pro corner. The guy was an All-Pro. He was literally the best corner they had, and they put him on Debo instead of Ayuk.
Yeah,
which is kind of interesting, right?
And Debo was, you say locked up because he didn't have a lot of receptions, but I'm going to go ahead and say that I don't think that those were due as much of the skill of, L'Jarius Sneed and the other guy for the Chiefs, McDuffie.
McDuffie. That's the All-Pro.
Yeah, I think it's less about their skill, and Debo just had a bunch of drops. I guess that happens after, but he was open for quite a few of those to where, I'm not going to give them all that credit for locking them up, and at least not every time, right? So, not as many as it looked like on the stat sheet.
The Chiefs had good defensive backfield, and their defense actually carried them most of the season.
Yeah,
and then they hit the playoffs, and here comes Mahomes, right? What can you say? But it's a new season coming up. Hopefully we're able to do something no one else has done and, make it back to the Super Bowl after losing one, right?
Now, some teams have made it back. I just don't think they've won it after losing. It's tough. The Super Bowl hangover is real, especially for the loser. Has none ever even made it back? Is that right?
Well, the Bills. You remember the Bills in the 90s?
The Bills, yeah.
They were like 4 straight Super Bowls.
Yeah. And I want to say that the Patriots too, but I think then they must have won.
I think they won one, then they lost one, then they won one. I think they went to 3 in a row. When was that?
I'm
gonna use the Google machine.
Yeah, do it.
But
I'm pretty sure it was 06 to 08 around there.
But yeah, there's Carcast. What's good, buddy? Is that Carcast or Spot? I think it's Carcast.
Under the helmet pod, nice.
Yeah, him and Spongy, they got them. The Philadelphia Eagles fan. They're both young. They got them thing going.
Cool.
But I'm gonna just put Super Bowls all time. That should bring up everything going all the way back. Yes, there we go. I want Pro Football Reference. There we go.
Yeah,
Not sponsored, YouTube.
I like the way they lay out the information for sure. PFR.
And there we are. The Patriots. Show more rows. The Patriots won those games? Yes, they did. 2 in a row in 04 and 05. Okay, so they didn't lose one and then go back. Who is the last team to do that?
Might have been the Bills.
You know what?
It was the Chiefs. Or no, they didn't go back the next year. It was the Rams and Bengals the next year. So, no, not the Chiefs.
Well, remember, so in 2017, you remember, well, it was the 2018 year Super Bowl, but it was for 2017 season. The New England Patriots got beat by the Eagles. So this is the last time it happened. And then the next year they went back and they beat the Rams 13-3. So that was the last time a Super Bowl loser went to the Super Bowl and won it.
Might have been the only time.
Well, we're just going back to the Super Bowl. I'm looking at the history. It's all the way back to the Buffalo Bills. The 4 times they made it in a row from 1990 through 1993 season.
Kenny has a good stat there. In the last 3 years, the Niners have lost 17 games, 9 when Debo was out. There you go. More than half of our losses have come when Debo Samuel was not playing. So
that's kind of crazy. That's kind of crazy, though. You got to go back. Like the New England Patriots did it. They lost to the Eagles and then came back and beat the Rams. So they were the last team to do it. That was
because the Rams weren't supposed to be there.
Well, 13-3. I'm looking at that like I don't even remember watching that Super Bowl.
That was the year that of the terrible pass interference uncalled, where the Saints DB just the Rams DB just flattened the Saints receiver before the ball arrived, and there was like, oh, no flag.
Oh yeah, that's when Sean Payton was on like the NFL rules committee, and then all of a sudden we had that year where a coach could challenge a play and have it reviewed to see if it was a penalty. You remember that?
Yep.
Now that and it didn't stick around, did it?
It sure didn't. One season.
So that's just the interesting thing about the NFL, folks. Like the new kickoff rule. Is it going to stick?
Probably.
I think so, because it's going to help out the offense's starting position. The team can't move until the guy catches the ball or it hits the ground. They got to stand there and wait, instead of getting back there. So then the guy catches the ball, and he's gonna if he times it right, he can actually run into the ball and have a running start on all these guys that are standing still. So then, you break a tackle, you put a guy like, say, a running back or a guy like Debo, for example, back there. He catches it, runs forward, breaks the tackle. You don't have all those layers of special teamers looking to tackle you. Because typically you have like 2-3 waves. You make it through those guys. You got the kicker. And now you have this one line of guys that has to stand still until you got the ball and you're ready to go. So you break a tackle, you break through that line. The only person that'll stop you on the other side of the 50 is the kicker, who's not allowed to pass a 50.
That's wild. Well, maybe they'll get more scoring. A little more excitement.
Well, that's exactly it. The NFL wants to see more points on the board. That's part of the reason for the new kickoff rule. And then, the hip drop tackle, like Levi actually spit some facts about it. And, it was like, oh, Levi, he actually left. Dang it. I was hoping he would stick around so I could, have him spit. There was like over 22,000 tackles in the NFL last year, and like 262 of them were considered hip drop tackles. Zach, Payo time. What's up, buddy? How's it going?
What's up, Zach?
Summertime in Canada. It's like 80 outside right now. It's actually a mild day when it comes to. It's just starting to get hot here in Utah, buddy.
It was 84 here. It was hot. I was like struggling. I've been like sort of keyed up trying to get my e-bike kit all built up that I got about a week ago Saturday. And I've been working. And like today, I think I finally got it. And it's right for configuration and with all the right parts. Because I bought one bike, it didn't work. And I bought another bike, downhill bike, and it did work. But then I wanted a lot of the parts off the first one. So I basically built like 3 e-bikes in about 10 days. And
wow.
Yeah. And now it's like completely. Let me show you a picture of it. It's pretty sweet.
Have you had the chance to drag race them yet?
No, it's not really a drag racing type. It's a trail bike. So, I mean, it'll probably go 35 with this hill climbing gear that I have on it, which is real fast for an e-bike, but it's more about the power for climbing, is really why I got this thing. It's because if you want to go fast on the flats, you get a hub drive. But if you want to go fast up hills, you get a mid drive where it cranks the cranks. And then you get the advantage of your gear. So you get to use your granny gear, which is a huge mechanical advantage. It also makes it want to wheelie like a mad Bronco. But let me see if I can find why.
Yeah, we got 49ers Ultimate Report in the house, John J.
Yeah.
We got
what up?
David Corona. I actually do that stream later, so these guys should be on with me. Hopefully they can make it for the trivia stream.
I also took some video of so this is what it looks like.
Nice.
Yeah. I took some video of me hauling my son on a third wheel trailer. Here's the reverse angle here. What it looks like going away. I just got to get it out of the glare of the light there so you can see it.
Oh, there's Zach.
But yeah, I strapped my iPhone to my chest and recorded this ride I went on with my son. So I'm going to probably start a TED Talks e-bikes or TED Talks bikes YouTube channel here pretty quick and post up some videos from when I ride. And then also I took a lot of pictures as I was building these bikes, and I'm going to narrate it and create like a how-to. How do you get a downhill bike and then convert it? And this is what to do when you run into this. This is what you do when you run into that.
Well, I was going to say, you could actually answer so many people's questions about e-bikes just by having that channel.
Yeah.
It's not funny.
No, it's true. And as people get older, I got really into them about 5-6 years ago. Well, I guess it was 7-8 years ago. It was back in 2016 and 2017. I built a really big fat bike, e-bike. I'll show you a picture of that. And then like we got a dog and we had my first son, and I wasn't riding. My wife's like, she never really liked the fat bikes to begin with because they look kind of like a motorcycle. And I was riding around all at night, and she just didn't like the whole scene. But this is the big fat bike up in San Francisco by the Golden Gate Bridge. So that's got a huge hub motor and a huge battery in the front triangle. The battery for the one I'm riding now, I carry it in a backpack. It's actually the same battery, but I carry it in a backpack because there's not a good place to put it on the frame of this full suspension bike. But yeah, I mean, I've built 2 really sweet hub drive and mid drive bikes. That was 3 kilowatt. The one I'm riding now is 2 kilowatt. So it's the way you get that number is you go 60 volt battery, and its max charge at 67 volts, and it's a 30 amp controller. And so 67 times 30 is 2015 watts. And I think actually the hub drive was like 2600. I think it was 67. I think it was a 35 amp controller. So it was about a fifth more powerful, but it was a lot heavier. And clunky. But anyway, bottom line is I gave them away to my neighbor in San Francisco, and then a friend of my in-laws, my sister-in-law and her husband, their friend lowballed my neighbor when he tried to sell them, got them. And so he got like, I probably pumped 8 G's into those bikes, and he got them for about $800. So, and then when my son started to pedal, then I'm like, hey, I'm back in the bikes, and I've lost like 50 pounds since February. I was up at 335. I'm pretty close to 285 or maybe less now today. So
you're not doing bad, dude. I kind of gained some weight over the holidays. I'm down about 18 pounds right now, so I'm not doing too bad in my opinion.
That's good.
But we got this question from Peo Time about what are our thoughts playing the Jets. I'm not necessarily scared because of how Kyle does against his disciples, I guess you could call them. All the guys that are from his coaching tree.
Yep.
I'm really not. I mean, I do expect it to be like a 1-score game, but I expect us to win at home because it's our home opener, right? Kenny actually asked a valid question about where does he take it when it breaks? His garage, Kenny.
Yeah, I'm actually a certified bike mechanic. So when I had those fat bikes, I was living up in San Francisco, and most bike shops will not work on DIY bikes because they want to sell you the expensive factory bike that costs 5 times as much and isn't as powerful. And so I did find some that would work on it, but then like they always put you at the end of their queue. They're like, oh, well, I'm going to take care of the people that bought their bikes from me first. And so they get to wait a day or two to have their bike fixed. You wait a week or 10 days. So eventually I was like, forget this. I'm going to go get certified to be a bike mechanic. So I drove up to Ashland, Oregon, which is right up just north of Eureka there, and by Grants Pass in Oregon. And I took a 2-week intensive class, and now I'm a bike certified mechanic. So I do a lot of the work myself, and I do have a shop nearby me here in Menlo Park. Give them a plug. They're called Woodside Bike Shop. They're awesome. Go check them out. They're owned by a guy named Greg. They have Anthony and Alex in the back who can fix anything. But Anthony is like, he's a genius with all bike mechanicals and bike electricals. And, if you need to get your e-bike fixed in the Bay Area, or check out Woodside Bike Shops. They're on the El Camino in Menlo Park, oddly enough, by Celia's and by Menlo College. So there's my little plug. But they've been great. I like, basically what I'll do is I'll get things like 90-95% done, and if I run into a little snag towards the end, I take it to them and have them fix it off for me. Especially if it's something I haven't done before. I haven't done a lot with full suspension bikes before. All my bikes previously were hardtails. So it's a little bit of a new area for me.
Sorry, there's some construction going on at my neighbor's house. I got some noise going on. I hope it's not bleeding through.
I didn't even notice.
But, well, I do have my background filter on, so
it's working.
But
for the Jets, my thoughts are, we do well against Kyle's disciples, as we say, his proteges is another way to put it. But I will say, and we do well against Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs. He's 0-4 against us in the playoffs, but in the regular season, I think he's 2-0 against us since Kyle's been here in the regular. I remember the COVID year, and then the year, when infamously when I fell out of love with Jimmy G. I was already kind of out of love with him, but when I was like, it's time for Trey Lance at that point, when Jimmy, scored too quickly at the end of the game and left Aaron Rodgers 38 seconds to go down and set up Mason Crosby for the game-winning field goal to beat us week 3 of 2021.
I remember seeing that game, and I was like, when he rolled it down and just scored, I'm sitting there going, 30 set. That's enough time to get in the field goal range. Let's see what happens. And sure enough, right?
And the Jets have a really good defense, so that's a concern. I think, if our D-line is decent, we should get a lot of pressure on Aaron Rodgers, though, because I don't think their O-line is anything too sweet. I mean, I guess they drafted, was it Fashanu? Olu Fashanu? Was that who they got 10th or 11th overall? Something like that? Low teens.
Oh, yeah, the tackle.
Yeah, Olu Fashanu, something like that. Fashanu. Yeah. So like if he is a fast bloomer, great. But I think, week one, odds are that we'll have a little bit of an upper hand on a rookie lineman.
Rookie lineman versus Nick Bosa or Leonard Floyd. I like our chances.
Yeah. I agree. 100%. Somebody said something about Hubbard earlier in the chat, and I don't know.
Yeah, it was Kenny. Yeah, we signed him, 33 years old, guest to compete for the swing tackle spot.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I think that's right. To compete with Jalen Moore, who I don't hold in very high regard.
I don't either. So, there's a few guys I don't like Jalen Moore. Nick Zakel hasn't showed anything. You never know. This could be his year.
I was hoping we got Sam Hubbard. But, well. He's a little too good for someone to let go of the Bengals. Real good run stuffer and a very good pass rusher as well, too.
But yeah, John Jay is asking where in SF do you live? If you want to generalize, don't.
No. I don't live in SF. We were there from 08 to 21. We were in the marina, right by Fort Mason. We were on Francisco Street, right by Fort Mason Green. So I would always when people ask me why I got such a powerful e-bike, I was like, well, I wanted something that could climb the hills in San Francisco. And literally, even when you're not going uphill, every ride I would start out pretty much go out to the Golden Gate Bridge and you're just fighting the wind all the way out. So right in your face every time almost. And so if you're going uphill and upwind, then you need even more power. So yeah, I was there. And then we moved down to the peninsula in 2021 and now we're in the Palo Alto area. So So kind of halfway between San Francisco and San Jose, a little bit closer than halfway between San Francisco, closer to Levi's than halfway between San Francisco and Levi's. So it's about, 15, 20 minutes with no traffic, but on a game day or even a training camp, you can get some traffic. It's a little bit longer.
Hey, you went for the gold mine experience though. Did you get a park in that employee parking lot that's right across the street?
I did. It's not right across the street. It's way out. It's basically, what? Yeah, there's a garage. There's actually a parking garage at Levi's. It's about 4 or 5 stories tall. And no, it's past basically,
it's past the parking lot that's in front of Levi's.
You come out of Levi's and you're, there's only one way to go when you come out, right? To go north, kind of. Mm-hmm. And you hug that left fence where there's people cooking and whatever else. But if you hug that left fence, then eventually there's a little road that peels off. There might be a gate or something, and then you go down that road a little ways, about a half a mile, quarter mile, and there's a big garage out there. So no, it is definitely not right there, but it is nice.
Wow. Yeah. So
really when I went, not have to fight parking. But the nice thing is, then by the time you get there coming out, there's nobody ahead of you to get out to the freeway because you're not stuck. Close to Levi's is where all the bad traffic happens. Once you're half a mile away, they've got it down now to where you can get out pretty quickly. It's just that just getting out of the lot a lot of times is the hardest part, and getting onto a surface street.
Well, so we got to park me, Bryant, and Tony, when we went, we got to park. It seemed like if you walk out, you walk past all the whole parking lot in front of Levi's there.
Yeah.
You go directly across the street, there's a parking garage. That's where we got to park. And, all we had to do was cross the street, and then we did the
I must have been in the B, the not so exclusive lot. Because this one, you don't cross any streets. You're in the lot. So you probably went a little bit to the right. So when you come out of Levi's, you're coming out of the way to the left. So past the press boxes and past the bench in that end zone, not the one where the gold mine actually is. So you come in from the other side of the stadium, from the employee lot that I was in, than where the gold mine is. The gold mine is right there on Tasman, basically. where the light rail is, and this is the exact opposite side. So
wow.
Yeah, there must be.
Maybe they changed. Maybe they changed where everyone was parking because their employees didn't have spaces or something like that.
No, there's
knows,
two.
Right?
It's got to be two. I think maybe the 49ers Faithful UK folks figured, since I was a local, that I knew that I could manage getting there from a little bit further, since I've been so many times. So it's fine, no big deal. But I was just glad to have. I mean, it's nice to have. Like I said, once you get to the garage, it's really quick getting out of there.
But yeah, here's Zach saying he likes James Richard Garoppolo. It's James Richard Garoppolo to me, buddy, because Jimmy's a term of endearment. But as a backup quarterback, but weird seeing him in a Rams uniform. You might not even make your team, buddy. You're like, you never know. You might not even make it.
I can't wait to come back to this. Zach, you know how I like to, on Twitter, say this will be fun to come back to. Well, I'm giving you one of those. If you guys, if your season rests in the hands of Jimmy G, I'd say kiss it goodbye. You guys aren't going anywhere with that.
Can't really argue with that. If Matthew Stafford gets hurt and you have to rely on James,
it's night and day. Stafford is a really good quarterback. Jimmy G is like a really good backup quarterback. I mean, he's good at backup. I mean, so
and you never know who they drafted. Didn't they draft Stinson Bennett? But he ended up like checking himself into rehab for some issue.
Yeah, that's what I called him. I didn't know that. I didn't hear that follow up. But during the draft, I called him Drunk Purdy because he had a DUI in college at UGA. So yeah.
But before the season starts, they ended up putting him on the PUP list and put him into rehab. And I don't, like I said, I don't know the story. They didn't leak the whole story, and it's his personal business. So why do that? I just hope he gets better.
Yeah, exactly.
But James might not even beat him out. He might be their QB3, right?
I have a feeling it'll be like the Sam Darnold thing where they're like, oh, well, we kind of promised it to Jimmy no matter what happens. They'll be like, you're a young guy. You got your time. We got to, I don't know. But maybe Sean McVay doesn't play that way, the way Kyle does. I know Sean McVay values offensive line. They really invested in their O-line, and congrats on that, Zach. I mean, I think the Rams O-line looks pretty formidable for 2024.
Yes, they did. They did improve that. They're trying to keep Matthew Stafford upright. They know how important he is to them.
And they got Cooper Kupp. They got Puka Nacua, two stud wide receivers. I think they drafted
Kyle Williams. Who's their running back? Kyron
Williams out of Notre Dame.
Kyron Williams. Okay.
And they got, but they picked up Blake Corum from Michigan, who was national champion, and he was a big reason why they were national champion. He had a huge play at a key moment in that game, or several huge plays at key moments in that game. So they got some weapons. I remember there was a rumor that they were going after what was the big tight end, the number one tight end this year out of Georgia, Brock Landers? Brock Bowen?
Bowers.
Yeah, not Landers. Bowers. Yeah, there's a rumor they're going for him. I'm super glad the Rams didn't land him because he was my draft crush. That would have crushed me to see him go to the Rams.
I remember one time I was doing a mock, the mock draft episodes. I did 8 of them. One time I was doing one where I'm specifically trading up to a certain section to target like J.C. Latham. And, shout out to the Titans for taking him 7 overall, and the guy is a monster. But, I ended up trading up, and then the Dallas Cowboys jumped in front of me and took J.C. Latham right then and there. And everyone I wanted was gone at that point. Like,
brutal.
There was a big run on tackles before. I think I was picking 14th, but there was a big run on tackles before that I was going, wow, like everyone I want's gone. Yeah, Tyler Guyton and was that Adarius Mims were still there, but I wasn't very big on them, you know. And I was just like, well, what do you do at this point? Brock Bowers was still on the board, so I took him. I'm like, all right, looks like we're getting a tight end too, you know.
Yeah,
that was
our big thing we didn't do in the draft. No tight end, no tackle, no happy Teddy for all that stuff. That bothers me. But hopefully they can find a way to win despite that.
Well, you know, we took 2 tight ends last year. You know how Kyle is, man. Kyle
2 half tight ends.
He got the red shirt. He's got the red shirt just hanging out, waiting for He's just like hanging in their locker.
Block.
You know,
you got Braden Willis who can catch and can't block, and you got Latu who can catch and run routes, or he cannot catch. He can block and run routes, but he cannot catch. So maybe Latu will take a step forward, or maybe Braden Willis will learn how to block. But I mean, certainly I don't think it's not going to be Saubert, the guy we signed. I think he's just a.
Well, we haven't seen enough of either one to say, right?
I mean, here's what we can say. Here's what we can say with absolute 100% certainty was we went after a different Brock. I think it was Brock Wright from the Lions, and then they matched our offer, the 3 years, 12 mil. So I think we can say with certainty that they were not happy with tight end. Well, and let's be honest, after the draft, like Lynch and Kyle, one said tight end, one said tackle. Like, yeah, we wanted them, and they didn't fall right for us. So it's there's no debating that that's a need for the Niners. I mean, it is. We've needed a tight end who can block and catch for 5 years to go with Kittle.
Yep.
And
you know, hey, we had Dwelly, best hands on the team, but I did the math for what we paid him in his catches, and it's $333,000 per catch.
He couldn't block his way out of a paper bag, man. So
yeah. And then that's what
unless he had a running start, which doesn't count. That's you know, that's situational every now and then. I do remember he decleated Aaron Donald one time. I loved that. I think it was in the COVID year where Javon Kinlaw had the pick 6. I'm pretty sure he came all the way across the line, and Aaron Donald was kind of standing there at the edge, and Dwelly just laid into him and decleated him. But you got to be able to do it in line, you know, with your hand in the dirt to be a tight end that can block in my category.
There's Sentinel. What's good, buddy? Sentinel trivia night. I'll send you the link on IG. That's just a reminder. But and what is it, Kenny? Is that the guy we signed? Is that how you pronounce his name? Kind of
Sour? Oh, sour butt. Yeah. That's what it looks like. Oh God, if he's our tight end. Well, I mean, yeah, who else is it going to be? It's not going to be the rookies. So, I mean, at least not to start camp. Maybe by the end of preseason, more of them can dethrone him.
I mean, you never know.
Yeah, it's got to be Saubert right
tight
now.
Ends,
there's nobody else.
It's like Cameron LaHoo.
Dwelly and Warner are gone. You know,
that's exactly it. So it's going to be Braden Willis, Cameron LaHoo, and Sourbutt. That's going to be
drop 2. Cameron dropped 2.
Yeah. Well, you never know, but like Braden Willis, this is his second year, so the red shirt's off. You know, Cameron LaHoo might even get a red shirt because he didn't even play last year, so we'll see.
Yeah.
You know, that's how Kyle is. Kyle has trust issues with them young players, folks.
Oh, we know that. We know that for sure.
But, you know, at this point, there's really not a lot to report other than Juwan Jennings in his 2-year deal. And now we have five wide receivers under contract through the end of 2025 season. Well, not including Ayuk, though. We have 4. Once Ayuk gets extended, then it's 5.
I'll bring up a news piece. I mean, it's not news. It's not news yet, but we're coming up real quick here on a very important date, which is June 1st. And that is the date that, Debo's dead cap drops dramatically this Saturday, essentially. So maybe by Monday. So just keep that in mind. I know we said we're keeping him and blah, 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 blah. He said la, 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 la. But I'd say it's not impossible that he could get traded. Someone came to us with a tackle or, a great linebacker or a great safety. So I think we're really thin at safety too with Jair Brown, and Mustafa looks great. Well, Malik Mustafa looks great, but he's a rookie. You just never know.
And then, Hufanga coming back from the ACL, that's a big question mark right now.
That's scary stuff.
But, I don't know. After June 1st, yes, we could trade Debo. And I said it's probably going to happen. But then, Lynch gave him assurances that he's going to be on the team. So at this point, I'm honestly thinking if Debo's getting traded, it's going to be next offseason.
I think for sure by then. I'm just not ruling out that it couldn't happen sooner, or maybe trade deadline. I don't know. We'll see.
This is a tough question to answer. I would say he's going to keep Debo because Debo is more of a weapon than he is a wide receiver, right? And his yak, like earlier, Levi put his yak. He had 632 yards after the catch, and Ayuk had 390. So if you look at Kyle's offense, I honestly believe he would keep Debo over BA. But at this point, Debo's not getting any younger, and with his style of football, he's not going to last forever. So, if I was GM, I honestly would keep BA over Debo just because of the fact that, BA's been a pillar of health. Didn't he get a little nicked up in 2020? He got a little nicked up, but that's it. Last 3 seasons, I don't think he's missed a game.
He did miss the Giants game this year.
Last year?
No, I think when you were there, wasn't he?
That's right. He did miss. We were actually I was looking at the numbers to see who was going to be playing the spot, Ronnie Bell or, Ray, but Ronnie Bell was out there.
I mean, I think he maybe didn't have to miss. I think it was one of those where we just erred on the side of caution, but he definitely missed that game.
He really, but yeah, I mean, like I said, if I was GM, I'd be keeping BA over Debo. That's just my personal preference because of number 1, age, and 2, availability, right?
I just say it depends on the price. At $30 million, I'm keeping Debo at 23. At $26 million, starts to get a little tougher calculus for me. I think BA is worth more, but how much more, especially because he's younger, but how much more is very difficult. You start getting into those shades of gray again.
Well, didn't like CD Lamb, he hasn't been extended yet, right? Judy, who's not that great, he got an extension for like $19 million a season, right? Out of that draft class, the top 3 were CD Lamb, Judy, and Henry Ruggs. We all know what happened to Henry Ruggs. And, Judy ended up getting traded. CD Lamb's still with the Cowboys, but hasn't signed a contract extension. I'm not a Cowboys fan. I have no idea what's going on there. And then you look at the other guys that, like the Eagles picked a guy I can't even name because I don't think he's even on their roster anymore. This is in the first round.
Jalen Reagor.
That's right, Jalen Reagor. And, Justin Jefferson got picked by the Vikings, I think, just before Jalen Reagor did.
Yep.
And he's the best wide receiver out of the class so far.
And I think that's what the holdup is. A lot of people are waiting to see what he gets, and then they're going to base their contract off that.
And, that's kind of fair. The Armand St. Brown, I don't think you can compare the two because St. Brown gets over 100 catches a season, and he is their number 1 wide receiver, like number 1 target.
He's more like 150, right? David.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That,
he got 150 in 2023. 154. I don't know, something like that. A lot.
Dang.
Like way more than 100. Yeah.
But I mean, it was 1,500 yards though last year, and like I said, he was a first team All Pro. This is Armand St. Brown, and so he was one of the guys to sign a big contract. But up is C.D. Lamb and Justin Jefferson, both those guys, and Brandon Ayuk. All three of these guys out of that wide receiver class are up for extensions this year. So kind of yet to be seen what's going to happen. But the June 1st deadline is coming. It's on the weekend. So maybe we'll get something interesting happening, maybe not.
Maybe.
Right?
Give us something good to talk about next week.
Yeah. And, folks, the speculation train has no brakes. Don't pay attention to it unless it's from the 49ers themselves, all right?
Exactly.
But you got anything to add, buddy?
No, I think I'm good for this week. I appreciate you as always, David, and I appreciate all our audience members who stopped by. And looking forward to next week at 3:20 p.m. on Hump Day. Hump Day.
Yep, Hump Day. I remember those commercials. A lot of people might not.
That's all right.
Folks, it's always go 49ers. And as Corey Davis would say, F all 31 other teams.
F them all and let God sort them out.
That's right. Have a great night, folks, and we'll see you next week.
Peace.